I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Well, Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board Commissioner Tony Sertich is stepping down at the end of the year and taking over as president of the Northland Foundation. The former state lawmaker is here tonight.
Last month, Duluth Mayor Don Ness announced he will not be running for re-election next year. The mayor's here to talk about issues he'll be working on during his last year in office.
And we'll have the latest business update and a story that was making news 25 years ago.
So stay right where you are. Almanac North is next. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. Denny, winter returned in a hurry this week.
And in some parts of the Northland, in a real huge way, 60-some inches in parts of Wisconsin over the last few days.
That's going to make for
a
long winter over there.
A lot of snow already. Thank you.
Let's get our minds off the snow and into our first topic.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Julie. There will be a change at the top of an important northern Minnesota agency at the end of this year. After 4 years as commissioner of the IRRRB, former state lawmaker Tony Sertich will step down to take over as president of the Northland Foundation. Now, one of the foundation's major roles is helping small and medium-sized businesses with a loan program. Joining us now is Tony Sertich, now the current IRRRB commissioner and future Northland Foundation president. Welcome, Tony. Some may be surprised by the move. What lured you to the foundation?
Well, I've always been a fan of the work of the Northland Foundation. They've been around for 28 years. It was actually started by the McKnight Foundation. They funded 6 rural foundations back in the 1980s when there was a downturn in farming and mining, and really to reinvest back into our communities. And this is my third once-in-a-lifetime job I've been fortunate enough to have in my life, and they do a lot of the same work that the IRRRB does in northern Minnesota, and those are where my passions are at, helping kids, helping seniors, helping businesses, really lifting up our communities.
I was just going to bring that up. In many ways, the foundation parallels what you've been doing at the IRRRB.
Yes, a lot of similar work, helping out businesses, communities, and the like, but you don't serve at the pleasure of a governor, and there's a lot less politics involved in it.
Is there any one area of the work that the Northland Foundation does that appeals to you more than the others, or that you're really excited to dig in on?
They're really all interconnected, looking at the communities. And what was neat was when the McKnight Foundation funded these independent entities all over rural Minnesota, they said they should all be unique and really listen to the needs of the communities. And so the Northland Foundation has a service area from International Falls through the Iron Range, up the shore in Duluth, and all the way to Carlton County and Moose Lake. And they really listen to what the individual needs are of the communities and lift up. And they really are intergenerational as well. There are programs for folks that are growing up, students, to folks that are growing old, assisted living facilities, and some intergenerational work between senior citizens and students and small businesses. So just it encompasses all aspects of the community, and that's what really draws me to it.
Were your friends and colleagues surprised by your decision? Because you've been this rising star in the political department for a long time.
Some were, some weren't. I think most folks know that I'm passionate about northern Minnesota and passionate about making a difference, and there are many ways you can do that. They don't always have to be an elected of office or government office or with any sort of fancy title. And so this is just a way I can stay in the Northland and help improve our communities.
Tony, what did you bring to the IRRRB? What was your biggest accomplishment, do you think, there? Any idea?
I can give you 643 of them, actually, and not all individually. What I can tell you is, in my 4 years at the IRRRB, we gave out 643 assistance, whether it be a grant or a loan. Some were in the millions of dollars, some were in the thousands of dollars to help some communities leverage other funds. And so when you're looking at the IRRRB diversifying our economy, there's no one silver bullet, there's no one thing you can do. You have to do a multitude of things. And so I'm really proud of the breadth of the work. And whether it be filling up the old spec building at the Hibbing Airport, all the way to helping the Miracle League and partnering with the Minnesota Minnesota twins so that children and adults with disabilities have that opportunity and quality of life. I wouldn't really point to one, but there's still, I'm not done yet. I still have about a month and a half left. We have one more board meeting, and one of my major goals was to really protect our DJJ fund that was named after former Senator Doug Johnson. They started this rainy day fund at our agency because we don't receive state tax dollars, we have local tax dollars. And they've been saving this money since the 1970s, and it's come under attack from politicians in St. Paul from time to time. And a major goal of mine was to protect that fund, and we've been working on that for 4 years, and it's my hope, along with our board, that we will be able to protect that money so that it stays in northeastern Minnesota to do good economic development work for the next 30 or 40 years.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for your successor?
Well, I think it's a lot around perception, and we're going through demographic shifts right now too. There's a lot of folks that, and the IRRRB probably gets too much credit when things are going well and way too much blame when things aren't. and a lot of times folks put all their eggs in one basket. And in northeastern Minnesota, that's been really focusing on our natural resources. And we need to continue to make sure our natural resource-based economy, mining and wood products and others, tourism are strong, but we need to diversify. Well, likewise is you shouldn't put all your eggs in the basket for the IRRRB or any other entity to solve all of the problems. And so we're going through this demographic shift at the same time that we need leaders in our communities to step up individually to work collectively as a region. And so that's going to be a really big challenge as we see that shift.
You're succeeding Tom Rainier, who was the founder and the president for 28 years of the Northland Foundation. Commissioner, do you have similar or different management styles? How would you look at yourself up against Tom Rainier?
Sure. Well, I've known Tom for 20 years, and some people say I'm stepping into big shoes, and I choose not to look at it that way because I could never fill his shoes. He's been an amazing leader in our community in the Northland. I really see it more as standing on his shoulders or getting a baton passed to me. I think we're similar in our passion for northern Minnesota, but I'm my own person, and I'll be bringing a little different flavor to it. But like him, care a lot about the community and want to see good.
What do you think is needed to just keep young people, you talked about the need for young leaders stepping up. What's needed to keep young people interested in staying in northern Minnesota and able to stay in northern Minnesota?
I think you have to involve young people, and the first and foremost is to define who they are. Now, some people see Mayor Ness and myself as young people, and if you do that, I think that's a big mistake. We were young people at one point in time, but certainly aren't anymore. You've got to actively engage and bring that to the table and listen. And it's not just about what I remember when I was young. Times change, and you really have to engage. And what I've been really proud of, Duluth's done a great job of it. I think the range is starting to do a good job of it as well, as really engaging those young people in leadership positions and being conscious about making sure they're sitting around the table and helping chart our future. That's what it's going to take. And it's not just about jobs anymore. A lot of people say, if you just have a job, that solves all the problems. Well, we're coming to a time demographically again where there are going to be more job openings than workers. And that doesn't make sense to a lot of people all the time, but we're getting there. So the jobs are really going to follow where the people want to live. And so folks want a good job, but they also want good schools and good quality of life and good health care. So like I said before, there's no one silver bullet. You just can't write a big check out and give it to a business and hope that that creates jobs. You need a holistic approach to really improving our communities.
Has Tom Rainier given you any advice?
So far, yes, and I'm going to be meeting with them a lot more in the next month and a half to make sure I really know what I'm doing when I hit the ground running. But what I can tell you is the foundation has incredible staff, and that's the other thing I've been fortunate about. I'm stepping out of a situation at the IRRRB where we have the hardest working people in the world really focused on the Iron Range, and I'm stepping into an organization with equally hardworking and passionate
What
people.
advice would you give to a new commissioner?
Do a lot of listening, and do what's in your heart, and they'll do fine. Whoever the governor chooses is going to be excellent, and I'm really confident that he'll make a good choice for the Iron Range.
Do you see some strong candidates kind of lining up who are interested in the job?
I'm staying out of that. I've got my head down to finish my job and my eyes focused on the future.
Governor isn't calling you?
Nope. I'm old news now. He's got to listen to, I think, the legislators up there in the communities to see what's needed for the future.
Well, we are going to have you back in just a little bit, but we're going to have the mayor on coming in and talking about his decision to leave office. But we're going to bring you back in to kind of broaden the discussion again in a bit. So
stick around.
Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Duluth Mayor Don Ness put an end to weeks of speculation recently when he announced he would not be running for re-election next year. The popular city leader cited the stress of the job and the toll it might take on his young family as major factors in his decision. And when his term ends at the end of 2015, he plans on taking a job in the private sector. Duluth Mayor Don Ness is here to talk about his decision and other city issues. And welcome. Thanks for being here, Mayor.
Thank you for having me.
Was there one single issue that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back, or made you make that decision?
Well, I think there's two major things. One is that the age of my kids is important, and Eleanor will be 11 at the end of this term. And thinking about those, if I had run for another term, she'd be 11 to 15, and those are tough years for anybody, and much less in the public eye. So family was certainly the number one factor that I was considering. But I also feel strongly that especially roles like mayor, they have a shelf life. And I think it's in the best interest of the community that you have turnover, and you have people that bring a fresh energy, fresh perspective, and a different skill set than I've been able to bring to the job. And I know that there's a number of really strong candidates out there, and the most important thing for me is what's best for the city of Duluth, and I do think that this transition is going to be good for the city.
You still have some time before you're out of office, but as you look ahead, what does Duluth still need that future mayors will have to address?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think it is, it's continuing to build upon our optimism and confidence in the city that has been kind of in its incubation stage in recent years, and have that translate into real investment. People investing in their homes, people investing in their skill sets to meet the needs of our local employers, and businesses feeling confident enough to hire that one extra person or make an investment in their plant.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned in an interview with the Duluth News Tribune that one of the factors that weighed into your decision too was just a fear of fatigue, that you didn't have that energy to bring it to the table again. Do you think you can sit on the sidelines and not want to jump in?
Well, so I should clarify that statement, because it's one that people are confused about. I'm not feeling fatigued today. I don't think I'd feel fatigued next year or maybe even the year after, but it's that sense of looking out to 5 years from now and saying, I know what it takes to do this job effectively, and it does require that focus and that really passionate energy to do it, and it also takes patience. Mm-hmm. And that's the piece that I think, thinking longer term into a third term, I think I would lose patience for some of the politics that grow weary. I don't enjoy the political games, and I've caught myself a couple times in recent years just feeling frustrated with some of the political gamesmanship that's a distraction from getting the work done.
So what do you still wish to see accomplished before you leave office?
Well, I do have a long list.
I'm sure you do.
There's a number of things. One is that we have to resolve this conflict with the Fond du Lac Band. Mm-hmm. We need to mediate a settlement and put this behind us once and for all. We're very excited about the possibility of transitioning our coal-fired steam plant into a district heating model that uses a hot water and a loop system that is going to be more energy efficient and can use a wider variety of renewable energy in order to fuel that. And a number of economic development projects that are still in the works right now and that we want to see in fruition, especially on the housing front. Mm-hmm.
Now, the city and the Fond du Lac Band were back in court again this week. Do you see any sort of a resolution coming soon?
Well, the issue that we were in court this past week is looking in the first term of the contract. And so right now the Fond du Lac Band owes us $13 million from that first term. Then we have we have prevailed in court, and we feel very confident that we will prevail on that question. And that allows us to kind of take that first term off the table and focus our mediation efforts on the second term and find out what is the appropriate level of revenue sharing. What does this partnership look like going forward? And because of the investments that the city has made in Old Downtown and the vibrancy that is there, we want the Fond du Lac Band to be part of that. And if we have this outstanding contract issue that's dividing our communities and creating hard feelings, we're not going to be able to find that win-win that I know is out there.
It sounds like there'll need to be some fence mending once this issue ends.
Well, that's the importance of ending this thing. You know, and certainly from the very beginning, the city has, our position has been we need to resolve this issue for the mutual benefit of both of our communities. And unfortunately, the band initiated this conflict by simply saying we're not going to make these payments any further, and kind of did that on a unilateral basis. So, you know, the relationship between the city and the Fond du Lac Band go well beyond this contract. These are two very important entities in northeastern Minnesota, and we have to resolve this issue so we can get back to fixing this relationship.
How does the city sit in terms of infrastructure as you come into your last year? I'm talking principally about sewers. Are we in better shape now than when you took office?
Well, we've made a tremendous amount of progress on the sanitary sewer issues, and just 8 years ago we had 8 million gallons of untreated sewage enter into Lake Superior and the St. Louis River because of it overwhelmed the system. We haven't had a single overflow since the 2012 flood. So for over 2 years now, not a single drop of untreated sewage has entered into Lake Superior, and it's one of those issues that I'm most proud of.
Any fears that you're going to be considered a lame duck for the next year?
You know, that's a common question, and the lame duck status is based upon the premise that a politician uses their office as a threat, as a way to say, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to use the power of my office to punish you. And I've never taken that approach. My approach in getting things done is always to make a positive case, to build support around the necessary actions, and then to push that forward. And in fact, I would say that now, knowing that I have 14 months left, and having that deadline and knowing that there's a lot that we want to get done, I think there's going to actually be more momentum behind saying, all right, this is our opportunity. We can get a lot done before the mayor's term is over.
What about job offers? Are they starting to roll in? I imagine there are a lot of organizations and businesses around here who would love to have your talents and experience and connections on board.
Well, I hope you're right on that front. You know, it is one of the reasons that we announced so early, that, you know, we announced 15 months before the term was over, because I need to have those conversations. I need to start exploring what those options are. As a generalist that's led a government organization, how do those skill sets translate into the private sector or adding value to another organization? So I've enjoyed the conversations I've had. There have been some opportunities that have been intriguing, but my primary focus is still on the job right now.
So what's been your strong suit as mayor then? And where do you see any weaknesses?
Well, I think the strong suit was that we were willing to take on the really tough issues and take ownership of those issues and make decisions that in the short run were very unpopular, but have proven to actually solve the issue at hand, and so that we're not dealing with budget deficits every year. We're not dealing with sanitary sewer overflows or the pending doom of retiree health care. You know, I think in terms of a weakness, and something that I hope the next mayor can bring, is I am somebody who's very focused on operations and kind of the internal workings of city government, and kind of the vision piece and working on projects. The piece that I probably haven't been as strong at is the outreach to community, and in part because I don't go to after work events. I go home to be with my kids and my family, and I think that's probably something that I wished I had more time to kind of do that proactive outreach. So I would say that's been a weakness of mine.
Let's bring Commissioner Sertich back into the conversation through the magic of television.
do
He's
it.
now sitting in another spot. But Commissioner, the mayor mentioned that one of the factors that weighed into his decision was just that negativity in politics these days. You've been in politics a long time. Do you think that is a factor that's keeping good people from either entering the political arena or encouraging them to get out of it?
I think so, and I think for me, it transcends beyond negativity, and it's really about the gridlock that comes from some of the negativity. And we see that, especially in Washington, D.C., we're seeing it seep into state government and sometimes on the regional and local level. and people just get frustrated by that fact that we can't solve big problems. And so then the responsibility gets pushed down to more local people like Mayor Ness in the city of Duluth, like entities like the IRRRB, to tackle these bigger problems, which for the economies of scale might be better solved, but people are really pushing these problems down. I see it as an opportunity, though, too, for communities to really step up and local leaders to step up. As I said before, you don't necessarily need a fancy title or to win an elective office to make a difference in your community, and so it's really empowering other entities, whether it be nonprofits or businesses or other volunteer organizations, to be a part of the solution and not just wait for some politician to figure it out.
This country has had party politics since the very beginning. So is party politics now becoming the problem or a problem?
I think it's a contributing problem, and even within the party structure themselves, we're seeing the polarization within the parties, because parties are representing a more narrow spectrum of the full spectrum, and they tend to represent the very far right and the very far left, and the moderates in the middle don't have a place that they call home. And so I do think that's a big problem, because back in 20, 30 years ago, for example, in the United States Senate, you had the majority of folks were either moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans that could work together and come up with solutions.
Yes.
How do you bring those moderates back to the table?
I think one of the major contributors of problem is the money that's in politics. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. A state legislative seat in Minnesota this year, there was over $500,000 spent for a seat that pays $31,000 a year, and there's 201 politicians. I mean, it's just money that's getting wasted, and it's all negative attack ads, and folks walk away just disappointed by the results. I think money's the biggest problem. Party politics, there is that extremism, but there was a time too when you had very liberal people and very conservative people who could find ways to compromise. But now folks are just thinking to the next election. We live in that immediate society where people and voters just vote folks out on a whim, and we've seen these radical swings back and forth, and there's no wonder why politicians will sit there and go, well, if I just wait 2 years and throw rocks, maybe I'll get in charge again next time. And so it's frustrating on a lot of levels, but I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it either. There's still a lot of good people involved.
Has social media become a problem then in generating some of that, do you think? You're smiling.
Well, I think it's certainly a factor. I mean, I feel fortunate that both Tony and I entered into politics prior to social media kind of gaining hold, and you have to learn how to accept feedback and criticism, and but also keep it in proper perspective. And I think for politicians entering into elected office today, and they see this, comments in social media, and it feels very hot, and it feels very personal, and it feels permanent, and so then they react to those forces within social media, I think, more so. So I do worry about the ability for the next generation of leaders to really understand the proper perspective between what they see in front of them on their computer screen and their responsibilities as a public official.
You made it clear in the last segment that we shouldn't be referring to you and the mayor as the young kids on the block anymore, even though you still feel like that to us. Both of you entered politics at a young age. Are you confident that young people are going to continue stepping up into those leadership roles? And what would you say to somebody who's thinking about maybe running for their first elected office?
I'd say do it. I think we see it on the Iron Range with Representative Metza and Representative Moline, and we see it in the city of Duluth with some city council members. People are still stepping up, and I think that's a good thing to have a diversity of faces sitting around the table and a diversity of viewpoints. And there will always be young people involved. We have a reputation in northern Minnesota of actually electing young people to these positions and allowing them to grow. But at the same time, we're in a generation now where elected folks like Don and myself, we don't see it as a career. We don't see it as a 30 or 40-year opportunity. We see it as making our difference. And who knows, 10 or 20 years from now, maybe jumping back in again. But it's not this continuous cycle of climbing some sort of imaginary mountain of power.
Do people tire of that? The voters? They tire of one person staying in office for 30, 40, 50 years?
It certainly doesn't seem so, but I think more often than not now you're seeing a generation of people who tire of the same job over the course of 20 or 30 years. And so make a difference for a while, step out, make a difference in another way, and maybe come back again later.
Come back again later?
Hey,
Maybe.
thank you both.
All right.
Mayor, Commissioner, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Here's a look at the week's top business stories from our friends at Business North. Minnesota Power on Thursday reactivated its Thompson hydroelectric station, which has been inactive since it sustained extensive damage from the flood of June 2012. 6 turbines at the facility near the Jay Cooke State Park were flooded, and a portion of an earthen dike ruptured. The company was forced to make expensive mechanical and landscaping repairs. During the downtime, Minnesota Power decided to rebuild its generators, and the first was activated this week. 5 others will be online by late spring. The utility dedicated a time capsule Thursday to preserve a history of the challenge.
At the end of November, Superior native Ryan Murray will leave his position as Deputy Secretary and Chief Operating Officer of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, the state's public-private development group. Murray is a longtime associate of Governor Scott Walker. Prior to joining WEDC, he served as the Policy and Legislative Director and Deputy Chief of Staff during the first year and a half of Walker's term. Before that, he was Chief Advisor to then County Executive Walker on the development of his business development platform. Murray plans to seek a private sector opportunity.
Duluth-based ZMC Hotels, which owns lodging properties in 10 states, might sell them if the right offer is received. The privately held company, founded by the Goldfine family, is offering to sell 28 hotels as a single package. No sale price is specified, but typical valuation methods suggest the company's assets may be worth $250 million. Regionally, the firm owns 3 hotels in Duluth, 1 in Superior, and 1 in Spooner, and 1 in Ashland. Now, for more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have something to say about our show, pick up a telephone, dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message, or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. And you can also go to the WDSE website for updates on your favorite shows, public television related events, and news about the station. And Denny, it's time to put the snow tires back on that car.
You know, I think we had 5 months where we didn't have any snow this year. So you might be right. I know you're right.
Maybe it's just time to move.
Well, I don't want to do that.
All right. For Denny and all of us here at Almanac North, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend.